My peopleization was good. Architect 1, Syndicate J. Miss TTUK, where you been at? Peace and blessings, Queen. Acme Brown, Steve J, B. Pauly. Underground Asylum, Usain 007, Quan. Jose Diaz. Jamil Allen, Jay Lee. OG Eric in St. Louis, D. Mac, Kashif Dixon. Teflon Twilight, Big Zoe, Samuel Adams, Chilltown Majors, Alfred Morris, Javon Freeman, D-Man Jr., King Bush, MGM Gang, salute. George Proctor, Retro for Life, 79 Boxing. Justin Hawkins, Demolish the Plant-Based Pugilist. Tate Brown, peace and blessings, Queen. Jose Diaz, salute. NBA D Nice, Main Event Mark, my brother. Aaron Parker, Ketty Peace 504, Thomas Moreland. Appreciate you, Queen. Miss TTUK. Said, what you eating? Tostitos. B-Rail 87, D Hodges. Carrie Sims, Bumpy Thompson, Ricky Galazza, Pull Counter Boxing, Alonzo White, Big Zoe, Ron Gibson Jr., Kyle Brown, Damian Wester, Nicholas McDowell, Victoria Duval, 904, Rashawn Pittman, Whatever Man, Rasheed Muhammad, salute to you, King, in the super chat. What it do, Blue? What it do to you, King? Jerome Bland, Eric Mills, Chilltown Majors, Reggie Cheese, Carter the Plumber, Vince Williams. I got something special for y'all today. Isaiah Wilson, James, The Diesel, DJ Hands On, Jay Williams, James, Jamal Payne, Andrew Thomas, Mario Forster, Mark Wonderlick, Kyle Brown, Slim Jim 314, ABN, salute. Taft Womack, No Slack 504, Box with Straight Right, salute. King Poppy, Quincy Quintent, Carl Lillivoice, salute. Mr. J Dub 20 Texas, Rob Cruz, Gregory Simmons, TZ Franks, Geo James Khalil 98, salute. Yeah, take that, I mean some tortillas, signs, salute. I was out all day, man. I just got back. New York traffic, was in Brooklyn. David the Real Thomas, salute. Jab Kennels, Fly High 89, Falcon Foot. Chino Davis, salute. My brother Alfred Morris, salute in the super chat. Chef Boyardee, Chris Jack, G Al, my brother, salute. What's good with you, G Al? Mikey Light, salute. I'm late because I was in Brooklyn all day with New York traffic. Unnecessary, man. I left Brooklyn to get home at 1:30. I just got in the house 10 minutes ago. Literally. Look at that. Look at that. Look who we got in the building. What's good with you, big bro?
Blue Blood Sports TV chat. What's going on? It's been a minute. I went through some things health-wise, man, but I'm back on the set. You see me everywhere, but you know, I was co-host of Blue Blood. I'm back in the building, man, and it's good to be back so we can talk some boxing. I can't wait. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. We got a lot of good fights coming up.
Yes, sir. So we got my brother, Kurt Anderson, a.k.a. Kurt Sugar, a.k.a. the historian, a.k.a. my brother, my co-host, back in the building. Man, I'm excited, Kurt.
Yeah, me too, man. Hey, when I can't talk about boxing on a small, medium, or large platform, man, I start shaking like a crack addict. That's how much I love boxing. You guys just don't know. My wife think I'm crazy. I go to sleep thinking about boxing. I wake up thinking about boxing, man. I wash dishes. I think about boxing. No matter what I do in the shower, eating, that's how much it dominates my life because my Yankees are making me mad. So I have to talk about boxing.
Man, don't even mention the Yankees, Kurt. Unbelievable. Jose Diaz, salute my brother in Super Chat. He said, Infinity is here. Bro, I told them before 12. Rashawn Pittman, my brother in Super Chat. He said, Gary Russell, all caps. Gary Russell going to sign by Friday, man. What's today, Wednesday?
Thursday.
Today's Thursday?
Yes, indeed.
Oh, he'll have it signed by tomorrow. Dwayne Morris, Fast Lane Jones, salute. So, Kurt, did you hear yesterday Team Crawford was going at me again?
Yeah, I heard it, man. These guys move funny. I'm gonna tell you something, man. I'm gonna tell you something about boxers. Like a lot of people, you know, who love boxing. I've been around fighters since the mid '80s. I came up under Rocky Lockridge and Johnny City Bumpers in Totowa, New Jersey, and Patterson, New Jersey. I was just talking to Omar Sheikha the other day. I talk to a lot of fighters all the time. You know, my private line. Fighters are funny style. You don't know what you're going to get from them from Monday to Tuesday to Wednesday to Thursday. They can have 5 different personalities. It's just, you know, what they do, it ties into that, you know, and fighters going on you, but you got their attention, Blue. You know, Charlo, it could be Bud, it could be their friends, it could be their family, because not only they can't take criticism, they can't take constructive criticism. That's a different animal. You know, hey, if you ain't no yes man, so if you agree with some of the things they do, which is good, and you disagree with them, or you may not say anything, you know, just hitting at something, they get all testy. And, you know, I'm a big Terence Crawford fan, man. And somebody probably listening from his camp now. I'm a big fan, but his reluctancy to fight certain fighters, you know, I'm worried about his legacy because he has the skills to do it. There's Thurman out there. There's, of course, the Big Chief Spence. We're going to wait and see how Spence does against Garcia. You know, he's supposed to be fighting Kell Brook. That's a good name on your ledger, but you got to be more aggressive, man. And, you know, I don't worry about Terence Crawford in the ring. Is out the ring. That's what I'm worried about.
Yeah, man. These dudes, they just can't take constructive criticism, like you said. I had dudes in my inbox. Yeah, I can't wait to Bud win. And you're going to have to eat your words and this, and this. And I told them, clearly you haven't been watching me. When he beat Shawn Porter and he beat Errol Spence, you're going to have to eat your words. There's no more for me to even read this conversation because you haven't been watching. You just going based off of agenda that somebody told you. You haven't been watching. You're not in tune what's going on. But it's because this narrative that, oh man, Blue be hating on this dude, he hate on. Dude, listen, I'm giving it to you straight, no chaser. That's it. You can't be Crawford, you can't be Timothy Bradley and saying, oh man, those dudes on this side, on PBC side, they don't want to fight Terence Crawford. They don't want to fight him. It's sad. Remember Timothy Bradley said that, Kurt? It's sad, man. Those dudes on the other side of the street don't want to fight him. Okay. Regardless, if you think Gary Russell, a great big man, beats a great little man,
sorry,
you got to make the fight because he's calling you out relentlessly, just like Mikey Garcia did with Errol Spence. Errol Spence just, oh, you really want this? You really want this fight? Okay, let me give it to you. Why not? We don't even know what's going to happen. We assume. And it's like with Manny Pacquiao, right? Kurt, when Manny Pacquiao moved up to 47, remember the Philippines, the people in the Philippines were petitioning to not have the fight approved so that way he didn't get hurt. They thought he was going to get hurt going up and fighting De La Hoya. I'm like, man, what, hey, Kurt, what did we all, because I was saying this, I was saying, man, Oscar De La Hoya should be ashamed of himself fighting Manny Pacquiao. That's what I was saying. He should be ashamed of himself fighting Manny Pacquiao. Little do I know he was going to stop Oscar De La Hoya. Then when he fought, I'm like, well, he weight drained Oscar De La Hoya. Baby, I'm doing my lunch.
No, somebody clogged the toilet and left.
Pardon me, Kirk. Baby, close the door. Pardon me, my peoples. So, when he fought Cotto, I'm like, well, this is gonna be the fight that he ain't gonna get past the hump. He beats Cotto like it. So we don't even know how this is gonna play out. We assume that we know what's gonna be the outcome. We don't know how it's gonna play out. That's why they have to get in the ring, because we don't know how it's gonna play out, right? And so Gary Russell's doing all, instead of us continuing to say as fans, as media, oh well, Gary Russell's just too small. Oh, Gary Russell's capping. Oh, Gary Russell's this. Gary Russell's that. We got to come a point in time when you got to address it. Not street-wise. This is the sport of boxing. He's saying, oh, when I see Gary Russell on the street, what do you mean? So Gary Russell said, like, we can make millions of dollars to do this. And you don't respond. Okay, so Gary Russell's with the PBC. Now, Keith Thurman, you say he priced himself out. Asking for $10 million. Priced himself out. But in the same token, Kurt, they told us that Manny Pacquiao was pricing himself out. Remember that? When Manny Pacquiao was with Top Rank, they said, oh, Manny Pacquiao is pricing himself out with the $20 million. He don't want the fight. He just looking for a payday. He leaves Top Rank. Everybody said he was avoiding Terence Crawford, including me. Oh, man, he know Bud going to beat him. He know Bud going to stop him. It's the probably last gas fight for him. He trying to get a payday. This dude leaves Top Rank, leaves HBO, goes to the PBC, gets $15+ million for Adrian Broner fight, and then gets the $20 million that he was looking for the Crawford fight against Keith Thurman. And not only did he get the $20 million, but he beat Keith Thurman. And he beat Broner. So it wasn't a situation. It wasn't a situation where he was just looking to cash out, Kurt. He won. He won the fights. But he still got what he thought he was worth at that point in time. Right? And so then, after that, you say Keith Thurman priced himself out. So $10 million was pricing himself out. Just like Manny Pacquiao was pricing himself out. Right? Okay. Now, Shawn Porter says that I called him. Shawn Porter said, I called Terence Crawford. I asked him, are we going to do this or not? What's going on? And he said that Terence, and now what are we going to call Shawn Porter don't tell the truth? So Shawn Porter said that I called him and he said, I got other plans. But if my plans, now, Kurt, I want you to respond to this. He told Shawn Porter, if my plans fall through, then I'll revisit possibly fighting you. Well, Manny Pacquiao was the plan, and now Manny Pacquiao is not fighting in 2020. Kell Brook was the plan. They had to up the money. They even offered a fight with Josito Lopez. How is that a bigger fight at this point in time? And again, let me just say this. Heavy is the head that bears the crown. Heavy is the head that bears the crown. When you're in the position of Terence Crawford, the boxing fans, the boxing world, the boxing media, they are going to demand that you fight the best. Point blank and period. That's what's going to happen. Right? They're going to demand that you fight the absolute best. Point blank and period. That's how this is going to play out. So when you say that you have other plans, How could you offer a deal to Josito Lopez and not look to fight Shawn Porter? So you have other plans to fight Josito Lopez over Shawn Porter. That's a bigger plan, a bigger fight. Now I can understand if Terence Crawford is of the mindset and he's saying, you know something, these fights are big. I done earned my way to this position. These are massive fights. I'm not having these massive fights with no fans. And I can understand that. And he said, listen, I'm just going to stay busy. Right? I'm just going to stay busy. Right? So whatever comes about, right? You know, I'll take whatever they give me. And listen what he said on the telecast when he was on when the fights was on the other day, right? Kurt, he says the announcer says to him, "What's your next plan? Sound like Kell Brook is your next fight." No emotion. He's like, "Well, if that's who they say is up next, then that's who's next." So it's like, and after all his fights, and I was one that used to defend him. You remember this, Kurt? I used to be like, man, he don't gotta call people out. That's not his style. But when you get to a certain level, you got to start being specific. You got to start saying, I want to fight this guy, this guy, this guy. It seems like he only looking to fight Errol Spence. And so in return, I'm looking at it now from this standpoint. So Errol Spence is going to do all the heavy lifting. He's going to fight all the major players in the division. He's going to collect all the belts. And we're going to just say, okay, it's okay for Terence Crawford to fight X, Y, and Z. But Errol Spence is fighting Danny Garcia. Y'all complained about Errol Spence and Danny Garcia. Why is he fighting Danny Garcia? Why is he fighting Danny Garcia? You understand? He's looking to fight Pacquiao. Like, I don't understand. They're looking to give Pacquiao the money that they said didn't exist. You understand what I'm saying? What's your thoughts on that, Kurt?
You know, I always defended Terence Crawford. He's a terrific fighter, terrific talent. But when you make it obvious that you're moving funny, to the naked eye, it's going to seem like you're ducking fighters. And now I'm wondering if he's looking to fight Errol Spence. Is that a cash out fight for him? Or, you know, he's the type of guy, if he was a football team, he will win the Super Bowl and want the trophy. You know, he'd tell you to take the trophy back. And it's kind of weird. It's a reluctance, so to speak. Terence Crawford is a dog, man. You hit him, you know, he's like a rock'em sock'em robot, man. He's going to get off the floor. Is he hurt like he was against Gamboa? He going to fight. You know, he gets hit, he fights back. He has a lot of dog in him. And he reminds me of the old saying, you know, you can lead the horse to the water, but you can't make him drink. And that's Terence Crawford, you know. So, and I did see the interview when he said, well, they tell me it's Kell Brook, so if that's what it is, then we see what happens. It's just the reluctancy, you know, threw me back a minute. And I'm like, Earl was in a car crash, and now he could have took a light touch, but he's taking on Danny Garcia. You know, that's his reluctance to fight and fight premium fighters, top-notch fighters, where Terence Crawford, I'm glad, don't fight Josecito Lopez, please. You know, even though Gary Russell is a small man, I'm the type, once somebody calls me out, you give me no choice but to go after you and go after you with a vengeance. That's just how I'm cut. And I wish Terence was the same way, but I don't know, Blue Man in chat, he just don't seem to, I don't know. I can't call. I'm like, you know, kind of taken back by his attitude. When he came to the welterweight division, I said, oh man, the welterweight division going to be fired now. You know, you got Crawford. You know, he's going to fight Thurman. He's going to fight Spence. He's going to fight Porter. But, you know, he says they're friends, but friends fought before Simon Brown fought Maurice Blocker. They was the best of friends. And it was a grueling fight. So why can't he do the same, you know, to fight Shawn Porter? Shawn Porter is a throwback fighter. You know, Shawn Porter has underrated boxing skills. He's athletic. He's strong. It'd be a great fight against the versatility and all-around skill set of Terence Crawford. And you can use the friendship as a tool to promote the fight, which
Right.
will work in their favor. So I don't know what's up with Terence Crawford, man. Kell Brook is not the same guy, because of the Golovkin fight and Spence. Every fighter can be dangerous. It's the nature of the sport. But I want to see the Thurman fights. I want to see Shawn Porter is the ideal opponent for Crawford to get in the ring with. If he beats Porter impressively, the heat is off Terence Crawford. Everything is off Terence Crawford because he would have outdo Spence and everybody else if he could win impressively against Porter. He should use Porter as a measuring stick.
Exactly, Kurt. And Shawn Porter, he said this. He had now listen to Shawn Porter's reaction, but I don't get it as fans of the sport of boxing. Shawn Porter said, "I was always in competitive mode when it came to Keith Thurman, although we was brought up since kids and would have a close friendship because I knew at some point in time we were going to cross paths." He says, because we were always in and around the same weight classes. He says, but when it comes to Terence Crawford, my competitive switch wasn't on for him because I never thought that we would cross paths. But now that he's in the same division as me, now we have to cross paths because my legacy is on the line. My competitive switch for him is now on. So Shawn Porter is saying, well, now we're going to have to make it happen. Just like Shakur Stevenson said when it came to Jamel Herring. Yep, we got friendship. Yep, we share training camps. Yep, we close. But ain't no man going to stand in front of my legacy. You see what I'm saying? So when it comes to Terence Crawford in this situation, we can't say, well, this guy don't want to fight him. Well, and then this narrative, Kurt, about him and Shawn Porter didn't give him the opportunity when Shawn Porter was a champion. I had to break that down, and I keep breaking this down. Okay? When Shawn Porter was the IBF champion, Terence Crawford was at 135 when Shawn Porter was at 147. Right? So he wasn't even thought of going to welterweight yet. Not even close. Then he lost to Kell Brook. He lost the title. When Shawn Porter became the WBC champion when he beat Danny Garcia, Terence Crawford was just making his welterweight debut against Jeff Horn. So at what point, and then Shawn Porter had him and Errol Spence switched. So that way, because remember, Jordanis Ugas was Errol Spence's mandatory. So Shawn Porter fought Ugas, so that way he satisfied the mandatory, and Errol Spence fought Mikey Garcia. Right? And so then they obviously was on a path to face each other. So now they faced each other, and Shawn Porter lost. He lost the belt. So why are we talking about Shawn Porter didn't give Terence Crawford the opportunity when he was a champion? The opportunity wasn't there. The opportunity wasn't there for Terence Crawford and Shawn Porter when he was a champion. So we can't say, well, he was a champ. He didn't want to give me the opportunity. Now he don't have a belt. Now I should give him an opportunity. No, that's not the case. That's not the case, people. Again, that is not the case. Okay? So now Shawn Porter is in a position where he wants to fight Terence Crawford. Kenny Porter is letting it be known that this is the fight they want. He let it be known immediately after the Errol Spence fight. Let's just look at the dates, Kurt. Let's look at the dates, right? He won the IBF strap from Devin Alexander, right? That was in December 2013. He lost it to Kell Brook. He defended it against Paulie Malignaggi, and he lost to Kell Brook in 2014, right? Now, let's just look in December of 2013, what Terence Crawford was doing in December of 2013 when Shawn Porter was the IBF champion. Because this is what people don't understand. This is what gets So in 2013, he hadn't even fought Ricky Burns yet. He didn't even have a title shot yet, Kurt. He didn't fight Ricky Burns until March of 2014 for the WBO title. So when Shawn Porter was the IBF champion, Terence Crawford wasn't even a champion at 130 or 35 yet. So how was the opportunity for Shawn Porter was dancing around giving Terence Crawford the opportunity to fight for a title? That wasn't in existence. So right now, Shawn Porter, so what are you saying that, oh, you only want to fight the champions, is what he's saying. Well, there's only Errol Spence and Manny Pacquiao. And so Errol Spence is coming off of a fight with Mikey Garcia, a fight with Shawn Porter for unification, and then suffered a horrific car accident 12 days after the Porter fight, and is going into a Danny Garcia fight. Said he don't want no tune-ups. And for the people, because this is another thing that gets thrown around, Kurt. People are saying, well, he shouldn't be fighting Danny Garcia. He should be fighting Terence Crawford. How can he be fighting Terence Crawford when Terence Crawford said he don't want to fight him straight away coming off the accident because he don't want there to be no excuses? So Terence Crawford said, no, he got to get some fights under his belt before I fight him. So that fight is not even available according to Crawford. What you think, Kurt?
Yeah, it seems like every credible opponent, there's an obstacle. He's making it an obstacle. You know, I give credit to Errol Spence and Shawn Porter, man, you know, because they doing all the heavy lifting, man. And Pacquiao beating young guns like Thurman, and Porter is in the ring with everybody. Porter done for Alexander and Brooke and you guys and Spence and Thurman, Garcia. Look at his resume. You know, he's a throwback fighter. You know, his mind mentally, he's a tough fighter, man. He'll get into the ring with anybody. Spence coming off that horrific car accident is fighting Danny Garcia. So, you know, I commend Spence and Porter. You know, Danny Garcia too, done fought tough competition. But it's all the elite fighters are to be commended. But Crawford, you know, my favorite fighter, is reluctant to, you know, making fights damn near hard to get a fight with him. And it's just, I just don't like it. You know, I'm not a fan of it. I come from an era where the best fought the best, you know, where guys, if you called them out, they was like, okay, you know, send over the contract, and it was signed. Just like what Haney and Russell's doing. You know, that was the norm. You know, I remember contractors signed in the ring back in the day. And, you know, you went to a fighter's press conference, you was going to fight them. You know, it wasn't no turning down or putting up fences and, you know, stay away from this guy and that guy. They fought, or no friendship. So, you know, once again, I don't know what's going on with Crawford, man. You know, I just don't have, I wish he doesn't have an incomplete legacy, because he's such a terrific fighter. You know, when you talk about guys like Lomachenko, Crawford, Spence, Canelo, we just want to see them fight the best fighters. We want to see our favorite fighters or fighters that we watch in danger, because we want to see how they react. And like you said, heavy is the head that bears the crown. So we want to see them, you know, have to get off the canvas or cut eye. We want to see them be into a tug of war, a tough fight. And Terence Crawford is not giving us that.
Exactly. And this is the reason why. Salute to Skills from New Orleans. He said, just like Broner is a poor man's Mayweather, Crawford is a poor man's Canelo. Wants zero smoke. He's content with his accomplishments at 140. And this is the reason. Jamal Smith talking about Blue Blood not telling the truth. What am I not telling the truth about? Tell us and tell the people what I'm not telling the truth about. You see what I'm saying? This be the problems, Kurt. That's why these boxers are able to do what they do today, because people are a fan of boxers instead of being a fan of the sport. and not realizing that the players in the game change. The game never stays the same. The game stays the same. I was a fan, Kurt. You was a fan of boxers past. They don't fight no more. I used to be a huge fan of Larry Holmes. He don't fight no more. I was a huge fan of Pernell Whitaker. He don't fight no more. I was a huge fan of Floyd Mayweather. He don't fight no more. Maybe he might come back. I was a huge fan of Roy Jones. He don't fight no more. I was a huge fan of Sugar Ray Leonard. He don't fight no more. I was a huge fan of Juan Manuel Marquez. He don't fight no more. So it's like I was a huge fan of Kevin Kelly. He doesn't fight anymore. So you move on, you graduate, because this is a sport of boxing. The game stays the same. The players on the chessboard may switch, but the game stays the same. And this is what people are not realizing. Instead of them investing in the sport of boxing, they invest in they invest in an individual, and that's okay. That's okay. You could definitely love the players on the chessboard. That's what makes us love the sport. But you gotta love the sport of boxing more than you love the players on the chessboard. Because guess what? Deontay Wilder is one of my favorite fighters. But also Errol Spence is one of my favorite fighters. Also Terence Crawford is one of my favorite fighters. Also Devin Haney is one of my favorite fighters. Also Lorenzo Truck Simpson is one of my favorite fighters. Or you understand what I'm saying? And these are guys in all different weight classes. They're in all different weight classes because I love the sport of boxing. I love the sport of boxing, and that's what gets overlooked. That's the problem we have today's time with the sport of boxing. I love Gary Russell Jr., one of my favorite fighters in and outside the ring. I could call Gary Russell and talk about everything other than boxing. I could call Deontay Wilder, and we don't even talk about boxing. We ain't even talking about boxing. Man, me and Gary Russell was on the phone talking the other day, and we was talking about everything but boxing. Initially, we started talking about the situation with him and Devin Haney, but it got to a point in the conversation where we started talking about stories and reminiscing of he's giving me stories, and we just talking about regular stuff. He's one of my favorite guys in and out the ring. But do you think that I don't want to see Gary Russell versus Devin Haney? Now, Devin Haney, I believe, is the future of the sport of boxing. So that means somebody got to win and somebody got to lose. Somebody got to win and somebody got to lose. So, and then people come and they be like, "Hey, Blue, man, you know, you don't like Terence Crawford." Well, you clearly haven't been watching me. That's the problem. Y'all start reading the book from the back. You need to start reading the book from the front. That's the problem. Y'all open up a book and just start reading it from the middle or from the back. That's the problem. Hey, man, we got 750 people. We should have 750, at least 700 likes. There's no way we don't even have 300 likes. We got 750 people and we don't even have 300 likes. Smash the like button right now. But what you think about that, Kurt? As far as, you know, people being a fan more of an individual in the sport instead of the sport itself.
Because boxing is the type of sport where you got to take time out and study it, and not only study the fighter, but what's going on, the background of boxing, the business, everything from soup to nuts. You know, where if this guy don't fight that guy, he's ducking. You know, you have to really tune into the sport of boxing, get as much information as you can, because boxing is like, you know, if you don't know what you're talking about, then you're going to be lost. You know, you know, somebody said Blue don't like Terence Crawford. He's a Terence Crawford fan, and you know, I remember him saying that, and I'm a Crawford fan, but it's hard to, you know, root for a guy who doesn't want to fight. You know, but I mean, you can only root for him for so much. You know, I'm not saying jump off the ship, because I'll never do that. But, to know what's going on, I try to read every interview. I try to read the fighter. I always try to keep myself involved in the sport of boxing so I know what's going on because it's such an underhanded sport. And if you don't study it or know what's going on, then you're going to be lost. You're going to hit a brick wall with your eyes wide open. So, there's a lot of casuals, but to know this sport, you're just going to have to read up on it. You're going to have to, just study it in general. So, that's what I got to say. A lot of people don't know what they talk about most of the times. I'm glad for this platform that you have, Blue, and, what Fanon got going on, man, and Blue Blood and BFTB. It's become very powerful. And it's a platform that we as boxing fans can enjoy. So we know what's going on. We seen a fight made off the internet because of LDBC. I'm starting calling it LDBC Promotions because of Haney and Russell. So, that I like. Anything you can get your hands on with the sport of boxing, read it or study it.
Now, Kurt, look what Trill Taz says. First, he said that Kell Brook is a good fight. It don't matter who Terence Crawford fight, he's gonna be criticized in his next fight unless he fights Errol Spence. That's completely wrong. That's completely wrong. That's completely 1,000% wrong. Because if Terence Crawford was fighting Shawn Porter, nobody would be complaining about it. That's completely wrong. And you have credible opponents that are looking. Virgil Ortiz and Jerome Boots Ennis, both young dudes, just called out Terence Crawford. They're both better than Kell Brook right now. They're both better than Josito Lopez. They're both better than Igis Kavaluskas, the Mean Machine. If you put them in the ring with Josito Lopez or Igis Kavaluskas, they will all be the favorites. And then my good brother saying, how is Thurman a good opponent when he been hurt more than Brook in the past 5 years? Because Brook's injuries that, yes, Keith Thurman had surgery on his arm and his elbow or on his shoulder. Kell Brook had 2 horrific eye injuries. That's not a comparison. That's not a comparison. He broke both his orbital bones, his eyes. That's not a comparison. It's not. One is major, one is minor. 2 different things. So, and Keith Thurman has 1 loss on his resume and was never stopped. He was never stopped. Kell Brook was stopped in back-to-back fights. He was stopped in back-to-back fights with the same injury to the opposite eye. How could you possibly say that Keith Thurman is more injury-prone than Kell Brook? This is what I'm talking about, Kurt. This is why the sport of boxing can never swim to the top of mainstream sports. This is why. How could you compare Kell Brook's eye injuries in a boxing? Eye injuries? How could you compare that to a shoulder surgery or elbow surgery? Like, what are we talking about here? What are we talking about? Kell Brook said he can't even make weight. He said he couldn't make weight at 147 3 years ago. He said he struggled to make 147 3 years ago. Hadn't fought at 147 since getting stopped by Errol Spence. Hasn't had a high-profile fight or a high-profile fighter since that Errol Spence fight. And didn't look good since then. Is he a name? Yes. Is he better than the C and B level fighters? Yes, absolutely. But when you're comparing him to his peers at the top of the mountain, there is no comparison. I see people even saying, well, what you mean? Kell Brook beat Shawn Porter. Do you think this version of Kell Brook could beat Shawn Porter right now? Come on, stop it. We got to stop already. This is what's wrong with the sport of boxing. This is absolutely Kell Brook 1 week ever since Terence Crawford. He was at the Amir Khan fight, right? Right, Kurt. I was there. Kell Brook called out Terence Crawford, right? He said, I can make 147 right now. A couple of days later, he does an interview, and he says, I think Terence Crawford going to have to either come to 54 or a catch weight, right? Because I don't know if I can make 47. Then remember, Eddie Hearn goes on and says, oh, Kell Brook needs at least 6 to 7 months to try to get down to 147. Like, what are we talking about here, people? So this dude has 2 major eye injuries. He's in his fight. What's the guy named Safari? Remember that fight, Kurt? Where he kept worrying about his eye? Remember he kept pouring to see if his eye was messed up?
Yes.
It's like, so I don't understand. How can we act like Kell Brook is a more viable option than Keith Thurman? What are we talking about here? Go ahead, Kurt. You cook on that, please.
Well, for the gentleman who says that it doesn't matter who Crawford fight, he'll get criticized. That's not true. Shawn Porter is the ideal opponent. Keith Thurman is a good name. But Kell Brook is past it. I mean, he was once a good fighter, but if he fights somebody like Crawford, the eye will be in danger, because even though they said, oh, the eye is good as new, your eyes is never as good as new because you're a fighter. It could be scar tissue. That's not good. Or broken eye socket. That's not good. We've seen him get beat up against Golovkin and Spence, and he may be past it. I mean, I saw it where he was arguing with Terence Crawford's sister. I think that was the Khan fight. They was arguing in the mezzanine or whatever, and Brook was talking smack, try to give himself a big fight. I understand all that, but I would be surprised if Kell Brook is competitive against Terence Crawford. But you throw Shawn Porter in the mix and you don't know what's going to happen. See, that's what makes boxing, when you doesn't expect the unexpected. You don't know what's going to happen. If Shawn Porter is a bulldog, man, he's tough. If Crawford can beat him and beat him impressively, we won't say nothing about Crawford anymore. We know he can fight, but do it against elite level opponents. Now, Shawn Porter, even though he lost to Spence, he fought Formella, he's strong, man, and that guy is quite an athlete. He's the throwback. We want to see Crawford fight those kind of guys. Spence, and I hate to bring up Spence because I just got a feeling if he gets him first, he might cash out. I won't want to see that happen to Crawford, but who knows the way he moves. But, I don't know. Even Keith Thurman, he said Keith Thurman is pricing himself out. You could throw that fight on pay-per-view. I mean, Khan did get $7 million and Thurman is asking for 10. It's just that the Crawford, the moves he's making has been all wrong, and the moves that Errol been making has been all right. And on the business side, right now, Errol would, definitely be the A side, but November 21st, I want to see what happens, how he looks against Garcia, and then we could talk about this Crawford Spence, saga, the ongoing saga. But Terence Crawford, if you listening, your people listening, fight Shawn Porter.
Exactly. And the thing is, right? Salute to my cousin Ant Woods. What's good with you, cousin? So the thing about it is, Kurt, right? And salute to everybody in the chat. Y'all know I normally salute each and every one of y'all, man, but we started late, man. I started real late, so I just wanted to get right to it. The thing is, Kurt, we can't say, well, Shawn Porter, he can't get no good big fight. When Shawn Porter said that he offered his services, Keith Thurman offered his services. Why are we telling them their weaknesses? Why are we saying, oh, man, Shawn Porter can't beat him? Who cares? If he can, he can't. If he can, he can't. We need to see it. Stop telling me oh man, Keith Thurman just look at what? Okay, so Errol Spence has fought Mikey Garcia, went to the UK and beat Kell Brook in the UK, right? Fought Chris Algieri, who's tough. Manny Pacquiao couldn't stop Chris Algieri. Dropped him many a times, right? Tough out. Stop Lamont Peterson, right? Okay, then beat Shawn Porter. Now he's going to fight Danny Garcia. Looking to fight Manny Pacquiao next. Like, what are we talking about here? So Errol Spence is supposed to do all the heavy lifting for this massive fight. Okay, so this is how I'm looking at it, Kurt. On top of it, I feel like at this point in time, Terence Crawford is not upholding his end of the bargain to build this massive showdown. He can't just be like, well, I'm just waiting for Errol Spence. Huh? But in the meantime, Errol Spence is building up his profile, building up his legacy, upholding the sport of boxing. But yet we want to say, well, Errol not looking to fight him. I'm lost. I'm confused. Errol, off of a major car accident, is saying that I don't want no tune-ups. I want either Danny, Manny, or Terence Crawford. Terence Crawford took himself out the equation. Did he not, Kurt?
Yeah, he did. I mean, nothing he's doing is right on the business side because he wants 50-50, and that's not going to happen, man. And, and this was before the Garcia fight was signed. Now that he's fighting Garcia coming off an accident and his successful pay-per-view against Mikey Garcia, it makes it hard for the beat fighter, which is Terence Crawford, to come to terms. Because I know Terence Crawford is an alpha male. He's going to be like, no, 50-50. I'm just as popular as you. I'm just as good as you, maybe better. So it doesn't work like that in the sport of boxing. I would hate to fight a guy who came off a successful pay-per-view, like Mikey Garcia and Shawn Porter, so the ball is in Errol Spence court, so if the fight is being made, and I'm afraid that if Errol beats Danny impressively, and then they talk about a Crawford-Spence fight, Crawford is not going to hear anything less. He's not going to want to hear anything less than 50-50, and that may stall. That may put another year on the fight. So that's what I'm worried about.
And Kurt, he's 33 years old.
Time is running out. I mean, once you hit those mid-30s, man, I mean, he keeps himself in tremendous shape, but it only takes a fraction of a section to be off, in the ring. And, it'll be sad if this fight don't come off. I'll be like really, really disappointed, and I don't think it will be Errol Spence's fault because the record shows that, there's obstacles in Terrence Street or whatever you want to call it. I never believe in that cross the street nonsense because Tyson Fury fought Deontay Wilder and Trinidad fought De La Hoya. So, if there was a street, it was those two examples and they wound up fighting. So, I mean, I can't defend Terence Crawford anymore, man. I can't. I've been riding with him. I'm still going to ride with him, man, but I'm just worried about his reluctance, man. It's nerve-wracking because I'm like, what can it be? Now I hate to use the D word, which is duck, but I can't defend him.
And I'm going to ask you another question after this. Salute to Chef Curry in the super chat. He says, supporting your grind, Blue. Salute to you, King. Salute to the Queen, Dahlia Antoinette. She said, one of the best boxing channels on YouTube. Keep up the great work, Blue. Peace and blessings to you, Queen. My brother, Mr. Martin in super chat, he said, Bud doesn't even have to beat Porter impressively for me. Just fight him and beat him, and I'm impressed. Facts. And hold on, let's get to these other super chats. We got Young World. He said, we don't even know that Bud is even on Spence level. Point blank and period. Hashtag LDBC. Facts. We got to see it. When he came to the welterweight division, we got to up the ante. Why am I missing super chats? Salute to my brother Damon Wester in the super chat. He said, Who legacy better, 3-division champion or a 30-year-old just touching 2 belts? How many belts Bud had? He cleared a division. Errol struggled with Porter, Brook, like Roy. Y'all must have forgot. Damon Wester, I'm going to clear that up for you real quick. Give me 1 second. Salute to my brother G5_Gabe in the super chat. He said, salute Blue, Kirk, Sugar, and the chat fam. Salute to you, King. Now, back to my brother Damon Wester. Listen. What opponent, you said who legacy is better? He has more accomplishments because he started in the lower weight class. But who fought the better competition? So, by your standards, by your method, Manny Pacquiao is a better fighter than Floyd Mayweather. Because Manny Pacquiao has 8 division world champions. So that's better than Floyd Mayweather 5. Right? And then you said Errol Spence struggled with Porter, Brook, and Errol Spence struggled with Porter and Brook. You know why he struggled with Porter and Brook? Because they're better than anybody on Terence Crawford's resume. Facts. Kell Brook at that point in time was after that Gennady Golovkin fight, it still would be a favorite on anybody on Terence Crawford's resume. And Shawn Porter, hands down, would be the favorite over anybody on Terence Crawford's resume. And Kell Brook beat Shawn Porter. So we ain't forget nothing. So guess what? I'm gonna do you another justice. So then, by your method, Mikey Garcia is better than Terence Crawford because he's a 4-division world champion. Because he's a 4-division world champion. And let me ask you another question. Do you think Victor Postile could beat Errol Spence? Do you think Julius Indongo could beat Errol Spence? Do you think Ricky Burns could beat Errol Spence? And I could do you one better. Do you think any of the 3 of those guys, Postile, Burns, or Indongo, could beat Mikey Garcia? Damon Webster, do you think that any of those guys that he became undisputed against could beat Mikey Garcia? Because, see, here's what I don't want to take away from Terence Crawford's accomplishment. But when you're trying to down Errol Spence to lift up Terence Crawford, then I got to break it down for you. Because Errol Spence didn't move. He didn't start in a lower weight class, and he didn't move up yet. So, yeah, he's 30 years old, but now you're using the method that people love to use when they're describing Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua's situation. When they love to tell you, oh, look, Deontay Wilder is 30-something years old, 10 title defenses, and never unified. Why? Because they didn't give him the opportunity to unify. And guess what? He would have had more than 2 belts if the number 1 guy in the welterweight division at the time, Keith Thurman, would have gave him the opportunity. But Keith Thurman never gave him the opportunity. Keith Thurman maneuvered around him as much as possible till he lost to Pacquiao. Then Pacquiao got in the ring with him and is going to choose to fight the loser of the fight between Errol Spence and Mikey Garcia. He called out Danny Garcia before this fight happened. So what are we talking about here? Let me tell you something else. A scenario that came about is that Yordenis Ugas became his mandatory for the IBF. They found a way to satisfy both and giving Mikey Garcia, Errol Spence, and Shawn Porter removing Yordenis Ugas as the mandatory challenger so that they could come together. So, am I wrong, Kurt?
No, not at all. You know, Terence Crawford is an accomplished fighter, but the momentum lies with Errol. And let me give you a case in point for that young man who says, who was talking. You know, Sugar Ray Leonard had a very short career. He only had 40 fights, very short. He was at his best from 79 to 82. Then he had the fight with Hagler. The reason he became a legend, Damon, is because who he fought, not the longevity or how many belts he had. He fought Benitez. He fought Duran 3 times. He fought Hearns twice. and he fought Marvin Hagler. You know, that's why he's a living legend. It's who you fight. Your competition will tell you how good you are. You have to fight top-notch, top-level fighters so we can gauge your skill level. I know Terence Crawford. I got him at number one pound for pound because of his versatility and his skill level. That doesn't mean he can beat Spence. We want to see it. Now, I got him favorite beating Spence. You know, I got him favorite beating everybody. That's how much respect. But how he moves out the ring, I'm not a fan of. In the ring, I'm not worried about Crawford. But even though I favor him to beat these guys, it's not 100% because the sport of boxing, when you fight good fighters, you eventually lose. It's the nature of the sport.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's my thing, Kurt. We talking about accomplishments over level of competition. Like how does that work? And it's also opportunity, Kurt. You got to be given the opportunity. He tried to fight Keith Thurman. Listen, and I know you know this, Kurt. Errol Spence tried to fight Kell Brook before he fought Gennady Golovkin. This is what people don't understand. Before he suffered that injury against Gennady Golovkin, Errol Spence was trying to fight him before that.
And they was going to strip Kell Brook too.
Yep, they was on the verge of stripping him. So what we acting like he was going to the UK to fight Kell Brook when Kell Brook was still undefeated. Kell Brook maneuvered around Errol Spence, then they gave him a voluntary. He decided that he'll go up and remember all that negotiation. They was going to strip him with the belt, Kurt, because he was going up the middleweight, and then he promised he'll fight Errol Spence immediately after and all of that. But Errol Spence was trying to fight him before the Gennady Golovkin fight. I don't understand. Like, we got to look at it for what it is and smash the like button, man. We got 930 people and we don't even have 500 likes. Smash the like button. We should have at least 800 likes. Get the likes all the way up. We should have at least 800 likes. Smash the like button. 940 people now. We should have at least 800 likes.
I want to say this, Blue.
Go ahead. Do you think, Kurt?
Kell Brook tried to fight Keith Thurman and Errol Spence tried to fight Kell Brook and Keith Thurman. And that's why, and the boxing world knew this. The fans didn't know this because Keith Thurman was going after Floyd Mayweather, and Floyd's so smart. Floyd said, I'll fight you. And Keith said, okay. But Floyd said, one condition, fight Errol, then fight me. And Keith Thurman never mentioned Floyd Mayweather because that's a duck. He was scared of Errol Spence because he saw Errol Spence coming. You know, he heard about Errol Spence. He seen him fight. Then he said, I'll wait. The guy don't got a belt. He didn't want nothing to do with Errol Spence. Kell Brook, he wanted to fight Kell Brook before the Golovkin fight. And Kell Brook was playing stay away. So the IBF, they don't play that. They was like, hey, if you don't fight Errol Spence, we're going to take your belt. And that's when he came out and said, I work too hard for this belt. I'm going to fight him, because that was a scenario where you could put so much pressure, the fans, the sanctioning bodies, or whoever, to fight a certain fighter. That's what happened with Tarver and Jones. That's what happened with Brook and Spence. And they wound up fighting, and Floyd Patterson and Sonny Liston. The pressure could be so great that you have nowhere to go and you have to face this man. And that's what happened.
Yep. Salute to my brother Danley Staley. Danley, I can't see your super chat, man. I don't know how I missed it, but I don't see it. So just comment. Oh, salute to my brother John Page in the building. What's good with you, Batman? In the super chat. Appreciate you, King. Danley Staley, you gotta just type it in the chat because I missed it. So pardon me, Danley Staley. Yeah, Kurt. So it's like this, right? Another thing, when we talk about Gary Russell, this is what they say. Well, Gary Russell ain't fight this guy. Gary Russell never unified. Gary Russell, well, he tried. He tried to fight Abner Mares. He tried to fight Leo Santa Cruz. He tried to fight Carl Frampton. He tried to fight these guys. They ain't give him the opportunity. So we're going to fault him for them not giving the opportunity, and we're going to use that as a way to, debate. Well, he never did nothing. Like Mikey Garcia said yesterday, well, Gary Russell ain't never do nothing. Huh? Hey, people, I want to say this. That's a testament to Gary Russell. That's a testament to Errol Spence. Okay, that's a testament to Deontay Wilder. Because it's not, I always say this, it's not the belt. It's the man holding the belt. I'm going to say it again. It's not the belt. It's the man holding the belt. And you don't like your chances. Just like, Charles Martin, salute to Charles Martin. I like Charles Martin. Great dude outside the ring. And Joseph Parker, another great dude. But they both told me that they have more money on the table and they like their chances against Joshua more so than they did with Wilder. So that's the route they chose to take. That's a testament to Deontay Wilder. That's not a knock against him. Salute to my brother Ahmad Zaman in the super chat. He says, salute Blue and Kurt, the historian. Salute to you, Ahmad Zaman. You understand what I'm saying, Kurt? So Errol Spence couldn't get the Kell Brook fight when he was quote unquote still in his prime. Errol Spence couldn't get the Keith Thurman fight when he was quote unquote still in his prime. He couldn't get those fights. They gave him all types of different, scenarios that he had to take to get to them. Hey, get a belt. Hey, get this. Or do it. Remember when he first tried to fight Kell Brook? Kell Brook said, I'll fight him when he became the mandatory. Remember that, Kurt?
Yep.
When he become the mandatory, that's when I'll fight Errol Spence. Then he became the mandatory, and he still danced around him. Keith Thurman, tell him to go get a belt. He goes and get the belt. He sat on national TV, on Showtime, calling Keith Thurman out. Hey, man, when you going to give me the fight? Oh, you my Manny Pacquiao, and this fight got a brew. Like, that's not his fault. But in the flip side of that, right now, so Errol Spence is looking like Sonic the Hedgehog. He see all the coins making themselves available, and he's trying to collect all the coins. And now Terence Crawford is Johnny come lately to the division, and all of a sudden, we supposed to just be like, yes, it is the biggest fight, competitive fight. But let's not act like Danny Garcia is some walk in the park. Let's not act like Manny Pacquiao is a walk in the park, because we would have proved if Terence Crawford and Manny Pacquiao would have came to an agreement, everybody would have approved of that fight. So now because Errol Spence is pursuing Manny Pacquiao after the Danny Garcia fight, let's not act like, well, why is he looking to fight Pacquiao instead of Crawford? We're not going to do that. Salute to Andre Forbes in the super chat. Salute to you. Salute to my brother Terrence Bailey Sr. in the super chat. Salute, Brother Blue. Cooking and grinding as usual, spitting facts. Salute to you, King. You understand what I'm saying, Kurt? Like, no, we can't do that. This hurts the sport. People, understand what I'm trying to tell you. This hurts the sport. When you have a guy who's perceived as the best pound-for-pound boxer in the world, and he's fighting guys that casual fans can't identify, that hurts the sport. Floyd Mayweather, salute to Wireless Bud Shop, Earbuds, in the super chat. Smash the like button for keeping it real. Salute to you, King. Hey, Kurt, remember when Floyd Mayweather and Sugar Ray Leonard and Roy Jones, and remember everybody used to go at Roy Jones, Kurt? Hey, man, this dude ain't fighting nobody, man. Roy Jones ain't fighting nobody, man. He fighting cab drivers. He fighting Uber drivers. He need to fight somebody, man. He need to fight somebody. Because heavy is the head that bears the crown. That's why. Remember when Sugar Ray Leonard invited Marvin Hagler to the award ceremony, and then got up there and then did all that and then said, this would be a great fight. Sorry, it ain't going to happen. That's something he never going to live down, Kurt. Even though he got in the ring with him, That's something that's just never gonna live down. That's always gonna be a part of his legacy for doing that. You know, Aaron Pryor getting up there and Aaron Pryor challenged him, man, I did everything in my division. Now I need to see you. I'm coming up there to see you. I done cleared out my division. I ain't got nothing else to do in my division. I'm coming to see you. What Sugar Ray said? Hey, man, we can't. Listen, man, this is my show. This is my, you got to get out of here, man. This is my show. Listen, stuff like that. That's why Sugar Ray Leonard, yes, he was beloved, but he was also had a lot of detractors because of that. Am I right or wrong, Kurt?
Yeah, well, the Pryor and Leonard situation, there's a caveat because they did sign the fight, you know, but Aaron Pryor received bad advice from his manager, Buddy De La Rosa. And a lot of people don't realize that Pryor was going to fight Roberto Duran because the Leonard camp offered Pryor $500,000 and they turned it down. They said it was too low. So the Leonard camp came back and said, we're going to give you $750,000. And Pryor accepted the agreement. But the manager said, no, we're going to hold out to $1 million. And the fight didn't come off. And then they was going to fight again. That was just unfortunate because Leonard had the detached retina. He was going to fight Roger Stafford. And then Pryor was going to be at the fight. And he's supposed to came in the ring on CBS in upstate New York. And then they was going to fight in the fall. You know, but Leonard had the detached retina. But, you know, Leonard felt, I'm going to tell you something, Leonard felt the pressure from Aaron Pryor fans, you know, just like he did with Hearns. Now, I'm not saying Leonard was scared of Hearns, but, you know, Angelo Dundee wasn't crazy about Leonard fighting Hearns. It's a whole bunch of twists and turns when you try to make fights. And like I said earlier, Blue, that sometimes fighters feel the pressure, like Floyd Patterson and Sonny Liston. Floyd Patterson didn't want to fight him, but he had to because he famously said that if I don't fight this man, then my legacy, you know, will be in ruins. And he wound up fighting him and got knocked out in the first round.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And it's like this. It's not just Errol Spence and Terence Crawford. That's the biggest competitive fight. We believe, we assume that might be the biggest competitive fight, right? It's just like people assume that Manny Pacquiao was going to be the biggest hurdle for Floyd Mayweather. They assumed that. That's why that fight was built up the way it was, because this is the man that's going to dethrone Floyd Mayweather. His footwork can keep up with Floyd Mayweather. His hand speed can keep up with Floyd Mayweather, but he got more power. He a southpaw. Floyd Mayweather can't deal with southpaws. And he got in there, and it was a sleeper. And then so the excuse is now, well, it was 5 years too late. No, how about it was styles make fights, and that more than likely would have been the same outcome 5 years earlier. It might have been worse for Manny Pacquiao, because I think Floyd would have been a little more offensive. So we assume that Errol Spence, because we see that Terence Crawford can make adjustments. We know Errol Spence is relentless. Errol Spence is technically sound. So we assume that these are the two guys. But for all we know, Terence Crawford get in the ring with Shawn Porter. How many people outside of myself and you, Kurt, thought that Shawn Porter was going to put up the fight he did against Errol Spence? Not too many people. They thought that Errol Spence was going to go in there and just walk right through Shawn Porter and stop him. We was the only ones saying, and this going to be that ain't going to happen. That ain't going to happen. So for all we know, Shawn Porter could be the wild card. Because there's just some guys that have people numbered, like Vernon Forrest and Shane Mosley. It's ironic, right? Vernon Forrest couldn't beat Mayorga. Mayorga had his number, but Mosley had Mayorga number, but then Forrest had Mosley number. So for all we know, Shawn Porter could have Terence Crawford number. And that could be a massive fight, entertaining. So I understand that, see, people, this is the belief that I have, that people are afraid that he may just derail that Errol Spence Terence Crawford fight. And people are not confident that that won't happen. So in return, they saying stuff that Terence Crawford not saying. Terence Crawford just said, I don't want to fight Errol Spence coming straight away off that injury, that car situation. I don't want that. Let him go ahead and fight Danny. Let him go ahead and fight this person because I want my full props when I beat him. And Errol said, okay, no problem. Now, we don't know if Errol's going to be the same. I believe he is. I 1,000% believe he's going to be better than what we saw before because I think that he's just more committed to the sport. But who knows? We don't know. But guess what? At the end of the day, Errol Spence already passed the Shawn Porter test. Errol Spence already passed the Manny Pacquiao test. Y'all talking about Terence Crawford and Kell Brook. Errol Spence already passed that test. He went to the UK and broke his eye socket. So y'all saying, well, Kell Brook is a great, yeah. It's the lesser of two evils. So this is how I look at it. Instead of him fighting Josito Lopez, I would much rather see him fight Kell Brook. Instead of him fighting Igis Kavaluskas, I would much rather him see fight Kell Brook. But ain't nobody gonna say that Kell Brook is a better, more viable option than Shawn Porter. Nobody should be saying that he's a more viable option than Keith Thurman. What you think, Kurt?
Great points on that Shawn Porter thing, man, because I was one of those people, and I'm really good at predicting fights, but when I saw the Spence Porter fight, my eyes were so wide open because I couldn't believe Porter. I said to myself, I underestimated this man. His footwork, he was hitting Spence with long right hands. I really did, man. You know, and Kenny Porter is a very underrated trainer because I listen to trainers very carefully, and he doesn't get enough credit for bringing the best out of Shawn. You know, the point of a good trainer is when you can, you know, maximize the fighter's talent. You tell him what he needs to do. And when they had that, it wasn't a 24/7. They had that PVC behind the scenes, and he was training Shawn. He was telling Shawn to pull out on an angle and do this and that. And I was like, whoa! But I picked Spence to knock out Porter in 8, and was I wrong? I was so impressed with Porter. I applauded. I said, I've been underrating this man. This man is a heck of a fighter. And remember something that people don't talk about. He outboxed Danny Garcia. He totally changed his style. He mixed it up. He brawled, he boxed, he brawled. He used the ring. Danny didn't know what to do. You know, so, you know, Shawn Porter is that X factor. He's that dark horse that boxing always seems to have that can derail a super fight between Crawford and Spence because I know Crawford is very good fighter, but Porter is I call him the bulldog. That's what he is. He's a throwback fighter. He's so strong, you know, that this guy told me who ref some of his fights that I'm close with said, you have no idea how strong Porter is. You know, if he was a football player, he'd be a middle linebacker. You know, that's how tough he is. You know, so maybe Crawford said, hey, you know, maybe that's a little too tough for him. You know, I know Crawford is a dog, but, you know, I cheered 3 cheers for Shawn Porter, man, for being a throwback, excellent fighter who's strong, who's durable, you know, who can fight, man. I feel bad because I underrated him. Now I give him all the respect in the world. You know, kudos to Shawn Porter.
Exactly, man. Coach Sheldon Harrison, you still in the building? Because people was texting me that you said you wanted to talk about this. But yeah, Kurt, you know, so salute to my brother Jupiter B in the super chat. He said these weight class jumps not as impressive as y'all think. Most classes didn't even exist. So Ali is not as great as Bud because he not a 3-division champ. Moving up 7 pounds don't top fighting the best. Never will. Exactly. And that's where we get this all confused. Remember, like you said, Kurt, remember I've been saying the whole time, remember, Kurt, I was saying all along that Shawn Porter is not going to be knocked out by Errol Spence. Shawn Porter is not going to get just blown out the water. That's not going to happen. Remember, Kurt, I was saying that the whole time. That's not going to happen. We never seen it before, and you won't see it now. You're not going to see that because of the style. Shawn Porter makes you fight his pace. He makes you fight his fight. Even the fights he lost, he made them fight. He made Keith Thurman fight every second of every minute of every round. Keith Thurman didn't want to do that. That's why remember Keith Thurman started sitting with his back on the rope. He was literally sitting on the ropes. Remember that, Kurt?
Yep.
Keith Thurman was literally sitting on the ropes because he had no choice because Shawn Porter was clouding his space. Kell Brook was obsessively holding Shawn Porter because Shawn Porter makes you fight his fight. But then he showed us versatility. He showed us a side of him we never saw when he fought Ugas and when he fought Danny Garcia. He switched it up. So he showed us, is he the greatest boxer in the world? No. But he showed us that he can, that dimension of his game. So guess what? Terence Crawford is not as big and strong as Errol Spence. He's just not. Salute to my brother Stormy B-Man in the building and super chat. Salute Blue and Kurt. Don't forget Porter's conditioning and very underrated quality of what he brings. That's a fact. And that's what I said, Stormy. I said that Shawn Porter never has to get ready because he's already ready. And so when they said that they want to fight, Terence Crawford wants to fight November 14th, Shawn Porter is ready for November 14th. He's ready for November 14th. So like I said, I don't, if Terence Crawford mindset is, I don't want to have these big fights because I work to get in this position and I want to have my big fights and my legacy fights under the big lights with the atmosphere, everybody, I can understand that. I wholeheartedly understand that. Today's time is a tough time. So fighting with no fans in the building, with no fans in attendance, and these big fights when you earned your place like Terence Crawford, because no doubt Terence Crawford is definitely one of the best boxers in the world, hands down. We know this already. That's why we have these conversations, because heavy is the head that bear the crown. You want to see him in the best. So when people come and they say, hey, Blue, why you feel this way about Crawford? Why are you saying this about Crawford? Why are you not saying? Because Errol Spence is fighting the best opposition out there. What is there to say about Errol Spence? What is there to say? Errol Spence is fighting the best out there. Outside of Manny Pacquiao, Keith Thurman, and Shawn Porter, and Terence Crawford, who's better than Danny Garcia at welterweight? Who's better than Danny Garcia? So now you have to look at it from this standpoint. I just said Shawn Porter, Keith Thurman, Terence Crawford, and Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao didn't want to fight Errol Spence next, so that removes him off the table. Keith Thurman has a history of not wanting to fight Errol Spence, so that takes him off the table. He beat Shawn Porter, so that takes him off the table. And Terence Crawford said he don't want to fight him straight away coming off the car accident. So that takes him off the table. So he's fighting the next best guy that steps up. That's Danny Garcia. So what do you expect from him to do? There is no conversation about what Errol Spence is doing because he's giving you exactly what you should be looking for as a fan. Anybody else in there, right? I just had Zaire Rahim on yesterday, right, Kurt? And he said he don't even want to see Errol Spence step through the ropes because he don't know what he's going to look like. And it's more important about outside the ring than in the ring. So we don't even know, essentially. I just have the gut feeling that he's fine. But essentially, we don't know what he's feeling, what he went through. We're all assuming. We're assuming it could be worse than it is. And I'm assuming he's better. He could be better than what he is. But at the end of the day, till we see him step through the ropes, but he's giving us, you know how many people would have, he admitted, didn't Errol Spence tell the world, Kurt, that his advisors, his team, been telling him, don't take no hard fights. Take a tune-up. Take a tune-up. Take a tune-up. This is what Errol Spence said. I ain't taking no tune-up. I ain't listening to what they got to say. I want the best. That's what you should be looking for in a fan. But we have Terence Crawford, who gladly hasn't been in that type of situation. I'm happy for that. But he's not pushing for the best. In your eyes, that should be an issue. Am I wrong, Kurt?
No, that's why I'm taken back by Terence Crawford, man. I'm surprised. Like I said early in the show, I thought when he came to the welterweight division, there was going to be hell to pay, but devil's still ice skating. So, I don't know what to say. I have to commend Earl for taking this fight. He could take a light touch, but he wants Danny Garcia because they think Earl is at his weakest. They think Earl is right for the pickings. Danny Garcia didn't want to have nothing to do with Earl before the accident, but it's not impossible that he's not going to look the same because there's been fighters who's been in horrible car accidents and look better than ever. Case in point, there was a fighter from Rhode Island named Vinny Pazienza who broke his neck, and doctors say he would never fight again. Not only did he fight, but he was winning. I mean, he was as good as new, and I want Earl to be at 100%. If he's at 100%, he going, dust Danny Garcia off. But the Garcia people is thinking that, Earl is going to be maybe 70%. But, Earl is on the right side of the street. I hate to use that term. He's fighting the best opponents. He put himself in a good position. When Mikey Garcia called him out, he didn't run away. He says, okay, man, this dude is getting on my nerve. Let me finish him off and then, go on to the next guy. And that's what he did. Mikey asked for the best and, he got his butt whooped and, that was it for Mikey. He embarrassed himself and, Earl did what he had to do. Earl's a fighter. Yeah, I've been knowing Earl since the amateur team. He's his spirit, his energy, his personality, and you look in the dictionary, it's going to be like fighter. Some guys are cut like that. They just don't care. They're oblivious to ducking fighters, or they're oblivious to putting up obstacle courses. They make the fight easy to make. And that's what Earl did to Mikey. Mikey kept calling him out. Earl said, you want the smoke? I'll give you the smoke. Not only that, hell, fire, and brimstone as well. But that's Earl.
So, Kurt, look at my brother, Damon Wester. And I love you, Damon Wester. You my brother. But he says, so y'all admitting that y'all capping and don't know if Earl's 100%. How we capping? This is what I'm talking about. We just starting to use words out of place. So now we capping. We don't know if Earl's 100%. Huh? Like, how? Explain that. Damon Wester, I need you to explain that. Because that don't even add up. So she says, so y'all admitting that y'all capping and don't know if Errol's 100%. These words we use completely out of place, man. Completely out of place. We throw around the hey man, y'all hating. We just throw that word around too much. Just like we use the word greatest and we just use these words too much and completely out of place. So now how are we capping? That's just simple mathematics. You don't know what we're going to get in the ring because he suffered a horrific car accident. So how's that cap? That I'm saying I think he's going to be 100% healthy. That's capping? Salute my brother Terence Bailey in the super chat. He said, Blue, people seem to have forgotten what a champion really looks like in Spence because we've been stuck with fighters accuses why not to fight or defend the belts. Salute my brother Terence Bailey Sr., my brother right there. He said, y'all saying he's going to beat Danny Garcia and don't know if the man is still the same.
We don't know. We don't know. I'm sorry, Blue. We don't know. We're dying to see. That's why the fight is going to do well because we want to see what Earl looks like. That when that bell goes ding in the first round, you know, I can tell if he, you know, if he's right or not. You know, that's what we all want to see. We just don't know. There's been fighters who's been in car accidents, like Sandy Sadler, who wasn't the same, and then, like I just said, the aforementioned Vinny Pazienza, who broke his neck, and he was as good as new. We just don't know until November 21st. No capping.
Kurt, man, you can't make this stuff up, man. How many likes we got, man? Smash the like button. We should have 1,000 likes, man. Smash the like button. Salute to my brother D-Lo404 Boxing. He said in the super chat, he said, no one ever knows if any fighter is 100%. Exactly. Exactly. So he says that we picking Errol to beat Danny, and we don't even know if he's going to be 100%. Like, I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. Yeah, he said we don't know this. The brother could come out and lay an egg. We don't know. We don't want to hear no excuses for a man. EJ, I hope he's okay so he can see a good matchup, bro. No disrespect, Blue. Damon Wester, you my brother. Ain't never disrespect. We gonna dialogue. That's just it. It is what it is. You could agree, I could disagree. You could disagree, I could agree. That's just the way it goes. We still family. That's all it is. Point blank and period.
Spence is coming back from a horrific car crash. That's not alleged. That's confirmed. We saw it. You know, listen, if he would have had his belt on, he wouldn't have been here. We're glad he's here. We assuming that he's going to be the Spence of old, but assuming, you know, the first three letters are ASS, we don't know until the fight happens. I mean, he could look good in sparring. He could lift up his shirt and have a six pack. He could hit the bag with fast combinations, but that's not the truth serum in boxing. The truth serum is when that bell goes ding in the first round and you have a live, high quality opponent in front of you. And like I said, he can look as good as new or he can be off a fraction of a second. And that makes a difference in a fighter's career, being off a little bit and fighting Danny Garcia, who has excellent timing. That's all it takes. One of them left hooks or straight right hands, the one he hit reels with, you know, you don't know. I mean, it's the theater of the unexpected. So we have to wait and see. That's why November 21st can't get here soon enough, because I want to see what Spence looks like.
Exactly, Kurt. Salute to my brother Matthew Valentine in the super chat. He said, we are so afraid of Spence that we question his own self-examination. Yes, Spence synonymous with fighter. Hashtag man down. Fans stop the bull. Yeah, man. I mean, he say he good. Derek James say he good. I'm going to say he good. Until I'm proven otherwise. I mean, once we see him in the ring and proven otherwise, I'm going with that. Ain't nothing changed. Salute my brother Christopher Schaefer in the super chat. He says, salute, Blue. Keep your foot on Bud neck. Not only is he ducking the best fighters, but he's also ducks the LDBC and other media like it. He says, salute to Wilder Spence for staying connected to the people. Salute to you, my brother Christopher Schaefer. Yeah, I mean, it's just, listen, you can say what you want about Gary Russell, right? Gary Russell on his own platform calling out all these fighters. One thing Gary Russell do not do, if I pick up the phone and call Gary Russell and say, hey, champ, you want to fight this? Yup. He keep the same energy. When I called him, right, he was with his kids. He was with his wife. Like, this is what he was doing, right? I'm like, champ, I need you to come on and explain this to the people. And he said, listen, shorty, say less. Just give me the time. So he kept the same energy. He's not Devin Haney. Like, I don't understand. So now he could say, Gary could say, look, yo, Blue, you creating a narrative about me, Slim. No, he ain't saying that. He could say we all doing that. No, he ain't saying that. His story it stays the same. So, but this is what everybody else do. Oh man, man, y'all create narratives about Terence Crawford. How? You're saying that no fighter wants to fight him. So then we look, and Shawn Porter saying, I want to fight him. Keith Thurman, give me 10 million. I'm going to fight him. Well, that's too much. You can't have these. Okay, it's just like everybody else, right? Kurt, you can't have these stipulations, and then you can't have your cake and eat it too, right? So you're telling everybody, and furthermore, before I even say that, we got to say this. Remember, keep this in mind. This is another thing that gets overlooked, and I don't understand why, but this just always gets overlooked. Remember, Bob Arum said that Keith Thurman, Shawn Porter, and Danny Garcia weren't worth negotiating for. He didn't want to negotiate with the PBC for anybody other than Errol Spence. Let's not forget that. And what does Terence Crawford say? He stands behind Bob Arum. Bomac just recently said that. They stand behind Bob Arum. So if you stand behind Bob Arum, and Bob Arum is saying he don't even want to negotiate with them because they're not good fighters, then why should we assume that you want to fight these guys? Salute to my brother Jupiter B in the super chat. He said Wilder entered the ring with third-degree burn on his arm and still picked. Yep, and we still picked him. Was we capping then? Throw out the next person that uses cap. Man, it's getting ridiculous, man. We just using words completely out of content at this point in time. My brother Dre Finest in the super chat. If EJ says he's good, I believe he is what he say is. It's facts. Me too. Until proven otherwise. Until proven otherwise. So that's my thing, Kurt. Bob Arum said they wasn't worth negotiating for. And you saying they don't have no promoter. They don't have this. Bob Arum also said that he blocked Terence Crawford from getting the Pacquiao fight. And then Bob Arum and Terence Crawford said that Pacquiao was pricing himself out, asking for $20 million. He leaves Top Rank, leaves the same promotional banner in which Terence Crawford was under, fights Adrian Broner and Keith Thurman. How did Keith Thurman and Adrian Broner get the fight? And it gave Manny Pacquiao what he was looking for, but Terence Crawford couldn't land the fight. These things should speak volumes to y'all. Smash the like button. We should have at least 1,000 likes. Smash the like button. 750 likes don't cut it. Smash it. Get the likes up to 1K. Get the likes to 1K. What you think about that, Kurt?
Yeah, you said it all. That's Terence goes back to Terence Crawford. He can't recognize that Bob Arum has been a detriment to his career instead of an asset. He's been a negative instead of a positive. You know, he blocked that fight, and I'm an objectivist. He blocked that fight because if Terence would have beaten Pacquiao, he would have been an instant star, you know, and things would have been different. You know, he didn't want Terence Crawford getting that fight. And like you said, you know, Pacquiao fought Broner and Thurman. They both got the fight. That just goes to show you the disrespect that Bob Arum has for Terence Crawford. You know, it seems like he just holding him back, man. And it's not because of a lack of opponents. There's a lot of people in this division that he can fight. But Bob Arum is just putting him on an island and just you know, taking a boat and, you know, sailing away. You know, he gets disrespected. You know, when it comes to Lomachenko, he has to play second and third fiddle to Fury and Lomachenko. You know, and what do Terence do? He re-signs with Top Rank. I just don't get it. It's just a baffling move that he made. I will never understand unless he got some behind the scenes money. I don't know, a bonus, whatever, but I still wouldn't have signed. I would have signed with Al Heyman, and I would have been more visible and getting great fights.
And Kurt, let me ask you this question, Kurt. Just think about this. How is this going to make Terence Crawford look if Adrian Broner, Keith Thurman, and Errol Spence get the Manny Pacquiao fight? And they gave him what Manny Pacquiao was looking for. So he didn't price himself out, and he did not want to fight Terence Crawford. Clearly, because he got the $20 million from Keith Thurman, he got $15 million from Adrian Broner. And remember what he said. He said, remember Broner was saying about money, and he said, I'm your promoter. Because remember, he got a portion of the PBC, right? So he said, remember Pacquiao told Broner, I'm your promoter. So he got a piece of that. He got the 15 to 20 million he was looking for the Broner fight and the 20 million for Keith Thurman fight. And you know he ain't gonna get nothing less than that against Errol Spence. But they all got the fights. So how's that gonna perceive? How is Terence Crawford gonna be perceived at that point in time? We all can't be wrong. Salute to my brother Dre Finest in the super chat. Bob did not want Bud to be a bigger star than Loma. We're gonna get to that. Salute my brother Dre Finest in the super chat. Salute to my brother Paul Carrick in the super chat. I'm betting any Crawford fan Errol gonna be all right. Facts. Salute to my brother Paul Carrick. Salute to the jab is the most important punch in the super chat. He said if Bob Arum couldn't hold Floyd Mayweather back, he not holding Terence Crawford back. Terence Crawford is holding Terence Crawford back. Facts. But what you think about that, Kurt? You get all these guys now. If Errol Spence, Keith Thurman, and Adrian Broner get the fight, and Manny Pacquiao got the money he was looking for, how is that going to make him look?
It makes him look bad, man. Like I said, Terrence would have been better off somewhere else. You know, he has to play third fiddle, you know, to his own company. You know, everybody could see that. So why couldn't Terence Crawford see it? And then, you know, comparing him with Mayweather, Mayweather is a different animal. Mayweather wanted legacy, he wanted money, he wanted everything. He got what he wanted because he made the right moves. You have to make the right moves in this boxing game because boxing is a business. And like I said, Terence Crawford, if he was a football team and he was invited to the Super Bowl, he wouldn't go. He would turn it down. He would give the trophy back. That's just how he moves. It's kind of weird how he moves, you know, but I just don't like it. You know, I can't defend what he's doing. You know, everybody's calling him out. You know, he's become a dartboard, and Thurman, Russell, and everybody's throwing darts at him. And, you know, he's just responding in a way that, you know, I don't understand.
And salute to Terrence Bailey C in the super chat. Aaron said he was afraid Terence Crawford would hurt Pacquiao. Yes, he did. And he said he stood in the way of it. And Kurt, like you said, he's third fiddle. Right on ESPN, at the fight with Jamel Herring, they continuously tell the boxing world that Vasyl Lomachenko is the pound for pound. Every time they mention the fight. And don't forget, October 17th, the best pound for pound fighter in the world, Vasyl High-Tech Lomachenko, back in action. Terence Crawford is sitting ringside. Vasyl Lomachenko is a 3-division world champion just like Terence Crawford. He only has 15 fights, and he has a loss to a journeyman in that 15 fights. Terence Crawford is undefeated and became undisputed at junior welterweight, but ESPN, his own platform, and the promotional company is telling the world a guy with 15 fights and a loss to a journeyman is better than him. Because he's a 3-division world champion and he became unified at lightweight. Well, Terence Crawford became undisputed at junior welterweight. So that don't count for nothing, and he never lost. And he's a 3-division world champion, and he got twice as many fights as Lomachenko. But they keep telling you they promote Tyson Fury, they promote Vasyl Lomachenko, and they asked, Kurt, get this, Kurt. They asked, Top Rank and ESPN asked the WBC if they could franchise Teofimo Lopez should he win the fight. So what does that say how they perceive Teofimo Lopez? They value Teofimo Lopez. They asked him to be franchised. Like, people, we got to look at this. The jab is the most important punch. Salute. He said TC got the Tim Bradley energy. Man, that's big facts. Salute to my brother G5_Gabe in the super chat. As great as a fighter Bud is, iron sharpens iron is a true statement. C+ fighters don't make you a better fighter. It plateaus your skill set. That's a fact. So what you think about that, Kurt?
Yeah, Bud Crawford is the family member in Top Rank that has to eat in the basement. They bring his food to him downstairs. That's how they treat him. You know, where Lomachenko, you know, gets the food on a silver platter. Tyson Fury sits at the dinner table while Bud has to go down in the basement or sit at the junior table that's in the next room. You know, he seems to don't care. That's what bothers me. He don't, you know, mess with platforms. You know, this LDBC thing we got going, man. this thing of ours, as I say, can really promote and put him on another level if he would mess with us. But you can't force people to do things they don't want to do. And his attitude, lack of energy when they asked him, "Will you be fighting Kell Brook?" I was really astonished by that. I mean, he had no energy at all. So I don't know. Maybe he's just want the Errol Spence fight so he can cash out, whatever. I don't really think he cares about legacy. This is a guy that goes fishing, and nothing wrong with that. Fishing is therapeutic, and keeps his mind on boxing. But I don't know what to say. I'm running out of adjectives, man. And about Terence Crawford, man, I'm just not happy the way he go about things, man. So I don't know who he's going to fight. It looks like Kell Brook. It looks like it, but we'll wait and see. I hope it's not Josecito Lopez. I hope it's not that, or he's going to get bombarded.
Yeah, well, Josecito Lopez, Kurt turned it down. He's fighting Maurice Hooker on the co-main event for Errol Spence, Danny Garcia.
Well, I'm glad. That's a good little fight. I'm glad, So Terence Crawford his back is against the wall. He got to pick out a credible opponent. He ain't going to pick Porter, and he only has Kell Brook. He can't go nowhere else. Where Earl can go any which way, So I don't know, man. That's what happens when you become so reluctant and you block great fights that should be made. I don't know, Blue, man. I'm not happy about Crawford's legacy. Or if he retires, is it going to be incomplete, or what could have been?
And see, and Kurt, my biggest thing is the biggest issue that I have with this entire situation. And salute to Chavez High in the super chat. Appreciate you, King. The biggest issue I have with this is that when you make mention of this, or we talk about we critique this, it comes off every single time. Whenever time you say, "Well, Terence Crawford got to fight better," oh man, you hating on Terence Crawford. Where does this narrative? Where does this come from? I'm confused. Lawrence Harris, mean one, salute in the super chat. Seems like Bud is the one doing all the capping. Salute to my brother Stormy B Man. Salute to my brother Lawrence Harris, mean one in the super chat. Appreciate you, Stormy B Man, my brother in the super chat. Brothers Bud, as ugly as it is, the height of the B Man, the Dub Man loves. Can't observe what is best interest. I don't know. I read how I read that. Brothers Bud, as ugly as it is, the type of B man. I don't understand that, Stormy. Stormy, I don't read that well, man. How you gonna put something up there like that? Come on, man. Steven Rodriguez. He said, "You are hating." Okay. So yeah, Kurt. What you think about that, man? When when you want to see you get fans like that say that, right? So these are the same fans that dig in their pocket. They'll go to a something as small as their nearest Chinese restaurant or their nearest deli, and if they don't give them the sandwich or the platter that they asked for with the slightest miss, you ain't, man, I asked for onions in there, right? You go above and beyond. Man, I told you I wanted onions in there. You ain't put no onions in there. And I told you I wanted extra cheese. Where's the extra cheese? These would be those people complaining, but dig in their pockets and pay quadruple amount of money to watch lackluster fights, mismatches. Isn't that something, Kurt?
Well, when you talk about boxing, I look at it as objective perspective. From the objective perspective, that is, I don't care for nobody. Even though I might have a favorite fighter, if he has flaws, excuse me, I'm going to point him out. Nobody's perfect. And like you said at the beginning of the show, the fighters can retire, they could just quit or whatever, but the fight game still go on. The players change, but the game remains the same. And that's how I look at it. And even though you may not like Crawford, I don't like how he's going about things. Once he's gone, he's gone. I mean, it'll be a shame if the Spence fight don't come off 2021, or if he don't fight Shawn Porter. But people, they become too emotional because that by nature, that's what boxing is. It's a very compelling and emotional sport. But you have to remain objective. And if my favorite fighter does something wrong, then I'm a point it out. And I'm not capping for nobody. Nobody's above the laws of boxing. That's the way I see it.
Exactly, Kurt. It's the sport of boxing. Zelly 1327, where you been at, King? And that's what I was saying earlier, Kurt. The sport of boxing over everything. You got the pieces in the game are going to change. The pieces on the board are going to change. The game is going to stay the same. Salute to my brother G5_game in the super chat. Top ranked slingshot, but his food, he too comfortable. Yeah, it's like yeah, it's like he's satisfied with his accomplishments already. And he said something that was real telling in the interview. Remember he said this, Kurt? I never thought I was going to get here. All I wanted to do was win one championship. So it's like he exceeded his expectations. And so he could take the rest, take it or leave it. You see what I'm saying, Curry? Am I wrong?
Nope, he did say that. I don't know, man. He's a weird dude, man. He really is, man. Wow, bud, man. Come on, give me something to go on, man. When they come at you, I usually defend you, man, but I've been quiet lately on Crawford, man, because I just can't defend what he's going on. And I still think he's going to be spent. There's a tough fight for both men. They're A-level fighters, man. And I just want to see it happen. I could see Spence winning, and I could see Crawford winning. I just want to see the fight happen. That's it. That's all.
Facts. Now, Kurt, let's get to I want to since we're on the Errol Spence, Terence Crawford, could you just break down Errol Spence and Shawn and Danny Garcia fight? Now, before you get to that, let me get to J.A. Dixon in the super chat. If Crawford retires today, which one of his fights will you talk about and rewatch, Kurt?
The Gamboa fight, because he was hurt and he had to come back from adversity. I got all his fights, but the Gamboa fight told me that he has a lot of dog, and I like the Diaz fight and the Lundy fight. I mean, he gets hit. He gets hit, but that wakes him up. So did Vander Holyfield. Ali got hit. Holyfield got hit. Some fighters, they get hit, you just wake them up. They go to another level. He was down against Kovakakis and got up and went to another level. So those are the fights that I'll be watching, man. But I wish I could say the Spence fight and the Porter fight, but that remains to be seen.
Chavez High in the super chat, he said any fights besides EJ is a high risk, low reward for Bud. One time, and Porter won't pay as much as Bud can lose to both. Won't pay as much as the Errol Spence fight, and Bud could lose to both. He's holding the belts hostage. And then we got Moax G. He said Bob moving Bud like a UK fighter, shaking my head. Lawrence Harris Mean said we just want the best to fight quality ops. Exactly. We want to see the best fight the best, not mismatches. Why would you want to pay for mismatches? That makes my brother Jay Cooley in the super chat. What up, Blue? I'm riding around these Omaha streets screaming, man down, still strap season. Bud days a number. Yes, sir. And he in Omaha, Nebraska. So go ahead, Kurt. Break down Danny Garcia, and then I want to ask you to break down Shawn Porter and Terence Crawford if it ever happened. But Danny Garcia, Errol Spence.
Well, if I was Errol Spence, I would approach it. I would box like he did against Mikey Garcia. I wouldn't stand in front of Danny Garcia with your shoulders square. Sometimes Errol fight the other guy's fight like it did with Porter, but sometimes you have no choice. But I would move to my right and use a long right jab to offset Danny Garcia's left hook, because that's 85% of his weaponry. So I would, box. The long jab will be essential to Spence, and it would be advantageous to him, because I think that would throw off Danny Garcia timing. He's not a fast fighter, but he relies on timing, and plus he's experienced. But I will box him because you look at Mauricio Herrera, the way he boxed Danny Garcia gave him all kinds of problems. And a lot of fighters can't beat fighters who move. And like I always said, footwork, to a fighter is like a blind man without a cane. So I will move to my right, throw long jabs. Don't worry about knocking them out. If the knockout comes, then let it come. But win this one and look good the next one. But you can still look good by boxing. That's the name of the game. So move to his right, throw that long jab, try to lull Danny to sleep, then come down the middle with a straight left hand. Danny's open for it. I've been studying Danny for a long time. He has great timing. And Spence, don't get on the ropes. Get your back off the ropes because he relying on you standing still. When you look at Danny impressive victories, it was fighters who stood still like Matisse, and Salka, even though he wasn't that good, Granados, those are fighters who was in his wheelhouse, as we say in boxing terminology. So move to your right and throw a constant repetitive jab, and Spence will win the fight going away. Unanimous decision for Errol Spence. But watch out for Danny's hook. Don't move to your left, move to your right, away from the hook, and use a repetitive jab.
Facts. How many likes we got, man? Smash the like button, man. Get the likes all the way up. We should have 1K likes. How many likes we got? Smash that like button, man. Get the likes all the way up. Now, Hurt. Now, break down if the fight was to come to fruition between Shawn Porter and Terence Crawford, what adjustments would Terence Crawford have to make? Because we know what Shawn Porter's bringing to the table. What adjustments would Terence Crawford have to make? And smash the like button, man. We should have 1,000 likes, man. Get the likes up to 1K. Smash the like button. Smash the like button. Get the likes up to 1K. Go ahead, Kurt.
Well, we know that Porter will try to maul Crawford, use his strength because he probably believe him coming up in weight. He's not a natural welterweight. He started as a lightweight, and being Crawford chest and making an ugly fight, like he did with Spence. That's for Porter to win. For Crawford to win, he's going to have to be on his bicycle. He's going to have to be real busy, throw a lot of punches, try to keep Porter at bay, with a stiff jab and a combination, because Crawford has underrated power. You don't have to knock the guy out, but just keep him honest, especially a fighter like Shawn Porter. It's not going to be easy because the footwork will be essential once again. It will be very important, not for Crawford to be on the ropes. He has to keep Shawn in the middle of the ring, pepper him with jabs, and he could use the uppercut, but it has to be quick. It has to be in close, because Shawn Porter has underrated footwork, but it's not educated like Crawford's is. When you look at the Postal fight, how he can, move around the ring. He can't get into a firefight with Shawn Porter. He's going to have to throw cluster punches to keep Shawn honest, like Errol Spence. That's the best way to beat Porter. Don't try to hug him. Being close, because he's going to go to Crawford body. He's going to look to break Crawford down by body shots and roughhousing him, smother Crawford. He got to, Crawford got to use his footwork, left to right, right to left, sort of like how Mayweather did Canelo. Just keep him off balance, moving, because he can do it. Just like Freddie Rose said, what Mayweather can do, Crawford can do, but not as well, but he has to box like he never boxed before. It may not be the most exciting fight, because if it's exciting, then it's going to be Crawford's fight. So Crawford is going to have to use his footwork.
Now, Kurt, do you think that he has the strength to keep Shawn Porter off him? Before you answer that, Wireless Buzz Shop, Earbuds, my brother in the super chat, salute to you. He said Bob knows fighting anybody in the top 5 before Spence is a big risk, and he hasn't made his money back with Crawford, so he has to be calculated. Salute to D. Luckett in the super chat. He said, watch the Felix Diaz fight, uppercuts all day. Crawford will do him just like he did Diaz, throwing the towel, Kenny. You think he got the strength to keep him at bay? And D. Luckett said if you watch the Diaz fight, he'll throw the uppercuts. That'll be the blueprint to beating Shawn Porter. What you think about that, Kurt?
Yeah, but he throw them uppercuts. They better be in close, and he better get out of there. He has to dart in and out. He can't stand in front of Shawn Porter. Shawn Porter is not a hard puncher, but he's a busy fighter. But he forces you to fight at his pace. That's a very interesting. Bud is a lot stronger than we think, but you don't want to wrestle with Shawn Porter, man. That's like wrestling with a middle linebacker. He's going to have to be on his his bicycle, man. Mix it up. Bud has a really high IQ, and he is strong. He's stronger than I thought, but you don't want to muscle with Shawn Porter. That's a very interesting question because I really don't know. I can only assume, that he is, but I could see Porter having some success. It's a fight that Crawford's going to have to gut out.
Yeah, I that's why I want to see the fight. I personally think that Terence Crawford is going to win the fight, but I think that it gives us the opportunity to see his greatness. We're going to see him have to dig deep. We're going to see him have to make adjustments. We're going to see the sweet science side of the sport of boxing. He's going to have to make adjustments. He's going to have to adapt to what what Shawn Porter does. His endurance, his will is going to be tested mentally and physically, and it's great. It's great. I would love to see that fight. Salute to D Lucky, my brother in the super chat once again. He said, but he meant to say Bud has wrestling experience. Yeah, but when you wrestle, you're still wrestling in your weight class. Shawn Porter is very, very strong. Very, very strong. Smash the like button. How many likes we got, man? Get the likes up to 1K. So I would love to see that because, and then it's a barometer, right, Kurt? We get to see him again with somebody that Errol Spence fought, and him in there with Kell Brook is not the same as him in there with Shawn Porter because Shawn Porter is far more the quality fighter than Kell Brook. So, we get to see him in there, and we get to measure. We get to to see who's better at what. Smash the like button, man. Get the likes to 1K, man. We should have 1K likes. Smash the like button. Get the likes all the way up. If you haven't smashed the like button, smash it. So yeah, that's what I think. And another thing I wanted to touch on, Kurt, was Mikey Garcia saying that Gary Russell needs to stay and focus on the lower division, not focus on Terence Crawford. He should be focusing on the featherweight division. And my thing is this. Well, Mikey Garcia, why aren't you focused on Terence Crawford? That's another fight that Terence Crawford should be pursuing. Mikey Garcia, he don't have an opponent yet. Manny Pacquiao's not fighting in 2021. Mikey Garcia, he should be available. He said that he want to fight before the year's up. Why is that not a fight? Why aren't Gary Russell is pushing for Terence Crawford? Mikey Garcia, you should be pushing for Terence Crawford fight. Why aren't you looking to fight Terence Crawford? You said you wanted to become a champion in the 5th division. He has a belt. He has a WBO belt. And I'm going to tell you why. Because Mikey Garcia knows that losing to Terence Crawford isn't the same as losing to Errol Spence. And I'll tell you why. He has a built-in excuse losing to Errol Spence. Even though Errol Spence didn't use his size as an advantage in the fight, he just outboxed him. But everybody you talk to, everybody that makes mention of, they always talk about, Errol Spence was just too big. Size wasn't the reason he won the fight. It was skill that won the fight. And see, he don't have that built-in excuse when it comes to Terence Crawford. That built-in excuse don't exist. So he's talking about Gary Russell needs to focus on the featherweight division and focus on the lower weight division. You should be. Okay, if that's the case, he's daring to be great. Why don't you be looking to fight Terence Crawford? You saying that you much rather fight Manny Pacquiao because it's closer to your size. But guess what? Terence Crawford is not much bigger than Mikey Garcia. So Mikey Garcia, you should be pushing for a Terence Crawford fight and vice versa. What you think about that, Kurt?
Yeah, well, he already said, that somebody asked him about Terence Crawford. I heard the interview. He said that Terence Crawford moves around too much. That's what he said. Basically, he was saying his footwork is too good. And the reason he picked Errol Spence, he thought Errol Spence couldn't box. That's the only reason. Most fighters is only effective, Blue and Chat, when you stand in front of them. As soon as you move, the tenor of the fight changes. So that's why he doesn't go after Terence Crawford. Mikey has this condescending, cynical attitude. He's talking crap about Gary Russell as well. You pick Errol Spence, and then after the fight, you said you feel slow and sluggish and fat. But before the fight, you said you felt real good. So which one is it? He chasing the bag. He wants Pacquiao because of pay-per-view, and he he'll get the bag, and just like with Earl Spence, he made off good. So that's what he's looking to do. But he thought that Spence was going to be another Broner or Easter, and that wasn't the case. There's levels to this game. He could beat them, but when you talk about the Spencers and the Crawfords and the Porters, see, the game changed. Isn't it funny that he don't have a fight? If Shawn Porter ain't have a fight, call Porter out. Call Porter out, but he ain't going to do that. So Mikey knows who to pick and choose. He knows that.
Mm-hmm. But he won't call out Shawn Porter because Shawn Porter don't have a belt, and he said his whole objective is to be able to become a 5-division world champion. Well, Terence Crawford is a WBO champion. He's the champion. He's the champion. So fight Terence Crawford. Like I said, because he knows that that built-in excuse is removed. And he knows that he can't box with Terence Crawford. So that built-in excuse is removed. No, you don't get away with that one. No, sir. And so, Mikey is picking and choosing his direction. He claiming, see, again, Manny Pacquiao is another situation where it's a win-win for Mikey Garcia. It's a win-win. If he loses, he's still going to get a huge payday. If he win, he got a legend, and he became a 5-division world champion. And then the other built-in is that he could say, well, everybody's going to say, well, Manny Pacquiao is a legend. There's no shame in losing to Manny Pacquiao. See, that's not the case when it comes to Terence Crawford. And that's a fight that needs to be pushed for. Because neither one of them have a fight. And Mikey said he wanted to fight before the year's out. Now you can get a fight before the year's out and an opportunity to fight for a world title. Why are you not looking for that fight? Why are you telling Gary Russell not to fight? Why is he looking at Terence Crawford? Why are you not looking at Terence Crawford? That should be the question. Why is Gary Russell looking at? Yeah, you should be. How dare you even say, why is he looking at Terence Crawford? You should be looking at the situation saying, God is a 126-pounder, is looking to campaign to fight Terence Crawford, but you make no mention of it. As if Terence Crawford versus Mikey Garcia, it's like that fight don't even exist. Amazing. Now, Kurt, I haven't got the opportunity to ask you. Gary Russell, Devin Haney, break it down for me. What's your pick? How you see it going?
Man, this is a very interesting fight, man. This is about youth versus experience. Haney is an athletic fighter who's long. Russell is short in stature, but he's experienced. He's fast. Boy, this is a tough one. But I see Russell somehow, some way, because he has a very good right hook. It's sneaky, it's short, it's explosive, it's terrific. Devin does make mistakes. He's still learning. He's green. Now, I will say Russell by unanimous decision, but later on, it will be Haney. But if they fought, I heard December 26, tentatively set, I will pick Russell, but I won't be surprised if Haney won, but Russell, because Haney makes more mistakes Russell. Haney could win the fight by jabbing because he's long and athletic, but Russell is fast and Russell can get on the inside. He's going to hit Haney with that right hook he has. It's terrific. Sometimes, Haney comes in open, he throw long punches and he doesn't defend himself that well. Like I said, he's still learning. He's still green. He has a ways to go. He's not there yet. So I'm picking Russell because of inexperience. I mean, experience, not inexperience. Excuse me. Russell by unanimous decision in a very competitive fight because of the experience.
Now, one more fight before we get up out of here, Kurt. This is for the hardcore boxing fans. This is a fight that this is the fight that I've been looking forward to. Might be more than all the others outside of Jamel and Jason Rosario. That fight next Saturday, Kurt. Erickson Lubin, Terrell Goucher. I can't wait. What you think about it?
Goucher is a decent boxer, but I just got the feeling that when he steps up in competition, he's going to lose. It's not the fighter's fault. It's just that there's levels in his boxing game. Erickson Lubin can box. He has a very good Olympic pedigree, even though he got caught by Charlo. That was an anomaly. Caught him on his blind side. Lubin can punch. He's a very good puncher, and he's durable. That fight with him and Gallimore showed me that he's durable. Goucher will probably have his moments, win a couple of rounds, but I see Lubin, excuse me, I see Lubin running away with it by unanimous decision. I was going to say TKO late rounds, but I'm going to go with unanimous decision, but I wouldn't be surprised if he knocks Goucher out late.
Wow. See, I think I thought it was going to be, I have Lubin winning the fight, no doubt, but I thought it was going to be a 8 rounds to 4 hard fought fight. I think Goucher is real strong. So I can't wait to see it, man. That's why I wanted to get your opinion. That fight is that was the one that made me so excited. I don't know why, man. I'm a big fan of Erickson Lubin, though. I love Erickson Lubin. What you think about Jason Rosario, Jamel Charlo, though?
Well, Charlo likes to bang, but he can box. In the earliest career, he was a boxer. He turned banger because he found out he could knock people out when he knocked out his rival Charles Hatley, and who else he knocked out? Somebody else, I can't get the name. Then he became a fighter. He's a boxer, puncher / puncher, boxer. He has too many tools for Rosario. Rosario is dangerous. J-Rock made the mistake of standing in front of him with his shoulders square, and we've seen what happened. He's strong. He reminds me of another Dominican fighter named Murky Sosa from New York, who Roy Jones fought. Charlo just have what we say in the gyms in Newark, too much junks in his trunks for Rosario. I would be surprised if Rosario beats Charlo because Rosario depends on his punch, and when he's not hitting you, he doesn't box as well as Charlo. So Charlo go out there, use his head, box and punch because Charlo is always in shape. He throws every punch with bad intentions. I love Charlo's double left hook. That's how he got Harrison in trouble to the body, to the head. So I'm gonna say Charlo by 8th round TKO over Rosario.
Yeah, I think Jamel's gonna win it running away. I think it's gonna be a unanimous decision for Jamel. But you think he's gonna stop him?
Yeah, I think he's gonna land something big. He's gonna soften him up. Charlo should go to his body. I mean, Rosario is a big dude, man. But this is where boxing IQ come in. You don't fight the other guy. Fight. It's standing in front of him and don't, because Charlo can be emotional. And if what worries me, if Rosario lands something big, Charlo was going to retaliate and it's going to be a war. And that's what Rosario wants. So box him and let the knockout come by boxing him. I will soften Rosario up to the body and then left hook because, you can hit Rosario with the left hook. I was studying a fight with him and Nathaniel Gallimore, and Gallimore had a lot of success with the right hand left hook. So I know Charlo's seen that he can get Rosario out of there. But I will box and let the knockout come. If it don't come, just win a unanimous decision.
So then, how you see a rematch with Lubin and Charlo? Because you know Goucher and Lubin is for the WBC mandatory.
This I would love to see. This will be a very interesting fight. They're rivals. They're natural rivals. They just don't like each other, and it won't be no first round knockout. I would be shocked that it'd be a first round knockout because I think Lubin learned his lesson. He's going to box. Man, that's a tough fight. You know, maybe a close unanimous decision with Charlo or even a majority decision. But I really like Charlo. You know, if he just boxes and and let the knockout come, then he'll be all right. But Lubin can box and punch as well. Their strengths play into each other. That's a tough fight, man. You know, I would say Charlo by majority decision, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's a draw.
That's huge, man. Smash the like button. How many likes we got, my peoples? Let's get up out of here, Kurt, man. It's 7 o'clock, man. We done been on here cooking.
Man, I'm glad to be back on the show, man. Thank you, chat. You know, I got my show called The Three Wise Men of Boxing later, and tonight's episode is going to be called The Mayweather Chronicles. And man, I just love boxing, Blue, man. You have no idea. You know, we got this platform for non-boxing international. He doing great work. You doing great work, man. You on the front lines, man. And, BFTB with his energy, man. I mean, everybody, Trill Boxing Talk 78, man. We got this thing on smash, man. We the Sugar Ray Robinson of the YouTube boxing.
Facts, man. I love it, man. I love it. This is what I'm telling people, man. I love the sport of boxing, man. It's nothing better. Kurt, you know what I miss more than anything? Friday and Tuesday night fights.
Oh man, Blue, man. You can get the whole thing off eBay. Not that much. The whole knockout series on DVD. I think I'm investing that. I suppose I did it last year, but I think I'm gonna wind up doing it. But I'm gonna say this before we go. When I found this YouTube thing, man, I said you could talk boxing all day from people from around the world. It was a treat, and I've been addicted ever since, man. Talking boxing, man, and it's just I can never get enough. And I love every sport, but it's not like boxing. And Archie Moore, the great light heavyweight fighter, got into boxing by walking down the street and he saw two men fighting in the alleyway, and he looked and he stopped and he said, "Man, that is so beautiful." Like looking at a woman, he said, "That is beautiful." And that's what got him into boxing. I feel the same way. I used to train fighters, and fighters I can't say their name, but you know who they are. But I got sick. But talking to you and everybody, I support everybody, man. Send super chats. In the chat, you do a wonderful job by supporting us. And I just want to say, I'm glad to be back on the show.
Facts. Rasheed Rock said, "Kurt, is the name of the channel Three Wise Men?"
No, it's Stormy B-Man Boxing, and the show is called Three Wise Men of Boxing. And, Scrapbook is ill, so I dedicate every show to him. Prayers for Scrapbook. We come on Thursday at 9 o'clock p.m.
So it's on Stormy B-Man channel, my peopleizations.
Yes.
So let's get up out of here, Kurt, man. How many likes we got, man? Smash the like button, man. We should have 1K likes. Smash the like button. How many likes we got? Get the likes all the way up to 1K. So go ahead, Kurt. Any last words?
Thank you, Blue. Thank you, LDBC. Thank you, chat. I'm back in the mix. I love it, man. Hey, boxing is life. Life is boxing. Peace.
Yes, sir. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. You haven't subscribed? Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notifications. Follow us on Instagram at Blood Sports TV, or one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shout out to the entire LDBC. Shout out to New Media. Shout out to Black Media Row. Make sure you like and share these videos. That's all we got for y'all. Peace.
Peace.